Well, what else do you want to say? What do you want to say?
You know, Jeff, I can talk about anything. I'd like to talk about you. I'd like to talk about your guest, if that's okay.
What do you want to say?
I'd like to hear it.
All right, if you go to tinyurl.com, I'll post it into the chat, /empty towers, there's a spreadsheet put out by the Port Authority that shows that there were hardly any tenants in the building on 9/11.
So how many people were in the building on 9/11?
I don't know. I wasn't there, Jeff. But this is from – now, is it possible that the Port Authority is in on the scam too and is fueling this no one in the buildings psyop? It's possible. But take a look at the list. And if you run down the list, you'll see that the buildings have been virtually empty since they were built in 1972, I believe.
The buildings weren't even really there. They were holograms.
Come on,
you know that by now?
Let's have an adult conversation here. I didn't wait 3 hours to be spoken to like a child.
So what do you have to say about the guests I have on today? You said you wanted to speak about them, so speak about them.
Well, I'm asking your guest what he thinks about that link I just provided.
I'm not in the chat. I didn't see the link. We just provided the best evidence to prove this case. What do you think about that?
I don't believe it.
Well, I don't care about that.
Well,
I want to talk about how all the videos are fake.
I'm not talking about fake videos. I'm talking about.
I'm going to go with majority opinion on this.
Oh, I see. I see. So you're going with your.
I'm going to go with what is going to get 9/11 truth and justice.
So you're into groupthink, sir?
Oh my God.
No, I'm into the best evidence. That's what I'm into, sir. I'm into peer-reviewed science and provable facts.
And they're not paid.
Go write for the Journal of 9/11 Studies or get it published somewhere else and prove something to me.
And you're saying peer-reviewed scientists are not paid off ever?
Did you just hear the conversation we had? I proved everything I need to prove about peer review.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Your wife's a teacher. She's part of the IOP. She's part of the education system.
I make fun of that all. I call her a social engineer.
Why don't you divorce her? Because you're in collusion with the enemy.
You meant maybe I should.
Well, do it. Be true to who you are, man.
Sir, there are plenty of records that show that the buildings were at least 80% full to capacity.
But what about the document I just showed you from the Port Authority showing the opposite?
I clicked on it, and it still says it's transferring and not loading. I'd like to look at it, but there were a lot of records that show that the building, in fact, I think at most they were 98% filled.
Well, the USA, respectfully, sir, the USA Today admitted that the buildings were virtually half empty on 9/11. Now, why was that?
Well, I haven't looked at this link yet, so I can't say.
Where'd you find that document, Marcus?
Would you? Can I post it?
For him?
Can I post it?
Go ahead. I'd like to look at anything you have to show. I'll look at what you're seeing, but I've seen other reports that say that the buildings were at least 80% full and at most 98% full.
And the New York Times admitted that there was a pre-planned drill that made, and I interviewed, by the way, that's correlating to this. I interviewed a survivor saying she wasn't allowed to go into work that day in the towers. I believe it was the South Tower, an hour before 9/11. Now, why would they not allow people in the building?
But there were people, we saw people, though, in the buildings, though.
You did? Where did you find that?
In the video.
They were jumping out windows and hanging out the windows trying to gasp for air.
Out windows and, people calling down from there. People were in the buildings that got out that said they saw people. There are pictures in the building of people running down stairwells and, there's proof there were a lot of people in the building.
Do you think that the news has never lied to us, sir?
The what?
Do you think that the media has never lied to us?
Absolutely not, but they don't always lie to us, and a lot of people who took these pictures weren't media. These were just people off the street, people in the buildings that, took this footage.
Uh-huh. Who were able to take pictures of jumpers that were perfectly centered the entire way down. You know how impossible that is?
Because you're a Photoshop expert,
I've never tried to videotape a person. I've never tried to videotape a person jumping out of a building.
You might want to try it. It's like impossible.
Well, no, I'd like to never have to do that.
Oh, me neither.
Hey, Marcus, you want to talk about documents? Do you know that there was a document that just came out on January 10th? You could find it online if you look. It's a court document, actually. There's a lady suing Puff Daddy because she said he brought down the World Trade Center.
I heard that, Jeff. I would like to answer this gentleman's question. Here it is from the USA Today. I'm posting the link into the chat so you can see it. The buildings were half empty when the jet struck. USA Today estimates 5,000 to 7,000 people were in each tower when the attack began. That was the USA Today. And the New York Times, and I'll post that too, it says, just before the South Tower collapsed at 9:59 a.m., a spurt of calls reached the 9/11 operators. One of this was from Shimmy Beeglitson, who worked for Fiduciary Trust in the South Tower on computer systems. And here's the important part. He was on the 97th floor, where by chance, this is the New York Times, an emergency drill had been scheduled for that day. I'll post both links for you. So why were the buildings empty that day? Well, or virtually empty that day?
Well, you don't know that, Marcus. You weren't there.
That's true. It wasn't, but I'm going off of what the official story is.
Well, but
so now
you just talked about how you just talked about how the media lies, but you're going off of a media report.
Well, no, I'm asking you if you're a debunker to debunk it. That's what I do. I look at what they tell me.
When did we say we were debunkers? Have you been?
We're debunking the debunkers.
I have been listening to you for 3 hours, and it's been kind of.
You got that wrong. Really, your comprehension of what you heard is not very good.
Okay.
Well, Marcus, I appreciate you bring up this point about foreknowledge about what was happening that day. Remember Carmen Taylor?
You see, I don't get into this. Is like talking about Hulk Hogan and Iron Sheik.
No. Do you know who Carmen Taylor is?
Of course,
right?
the AP, the one from Alabama, and the AP picture and all that.
She took the most famous picture of Flight 175 just before it hit the South Tower.
And the XF data shows no such thing.
Okay, when she was on a bus.
You see, you're jumping over my facts, Jeff.
Yeah,
you know you can change.
Not facts.
You know
you can change,
Jeff. You know you can change XF data. That XF data from every single 9/11 picture has been changed. Every single one.
Yeah, I went and changed some of the XF data and some of the pictures to 1776.
Right, that's my point. I agree, and that was great that you were able to show that. And that proves, again, that you cannot trust a single picture that comes from the AP because they have a policy to scrub every single. If you get an AP picture and do XF data on it, every single picture is scrubbed of XF data.
Sir, I'm reading this thing you're talking about, they say the buildings were half empty, but, other reports say they weren't, and this doesn't provide really a source for where it gets this. I mean, all it says is that USA Today estimates 5,000 to 7,000 people were in each tower.
Uh-huh.
But it's USA Today. What does that mean? That they estimated themselves? Who estimated that amount? Who actually did the estimation?
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Why would the USA Today, which is a front of the military who did 9/11, why would they admit, buried all the way in the back of their newspaper where no one can see it except for people like us trying to find the truth? Why would they admit it? That
you're really trying to
find
the truth, Marcus.
Why would they admit? Why would they even publish that? What would be the purpose of saying that? And why would the New York Times admit that there was a pre-planned fire drill for that day? How come no one's talking about that?
This was only a few months after the attack. It's possible they could have just gotten bad info. They could have been wrong.
Of course. Come on.
Well, why is that impossible?
Because you're making excuses for them. They have lost the benefit. The media has lost the benefit of the doubt. They lie about everything.
Why is your theory more believable?
I don't have theories, sir. I don't go with theories. I go with facts.
Like we were stating.
But sir, I mean, listen, you have to have an alternative. Why do you think the buildings were half empty?
It doesn't matter what I believe. I go by what I've discovered and investigated. I spoke to a survivor who her mom looked me in the eye and said, that's very interesting. My daughter was a survivor, and she wasn't allowed in the building because of a pre-planned drill that day.
That's not proof in itself that the building was half empty. No, that just proves she wasn't allowed in the building for some reason.
Why would they not allow on that particular day that woman to go into the building? Is it just coincidence?
Marcus, that's hearsay. That's not admissible in the court of law.
I don't care about the court of laws. They're run by the same people who rule over us.
Okay. You should call USA Today and ask them about it.
I don't want to talk to controlled opposition. No, although I'm thinking I'm doing that right now.
I knew you were going to say that.
Sir, listen, I have nothing but a quest for the truth. I don't think this is the truth. It's not something that's provable. you can speculate all you want. We're not trying to deal with speculation. We're trying to stick to the facts.
Well, let's go with the facts. If you look at the video on 9/11, this is a fact. The fact is concrete and steel dustified midair. Anyone disagree with that?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Dustification is not a proper word to describe what happened.
Then school me, Jeff. What happened if you slow down the video?
No, wait a minute. He's saying the steel was dustified.
Yeah?
Where is your evidence that it was dustified? I saw a lot of steel in all the pictures I've looked through and all the videos.
Well, if you look at controlled demolition, that's a 35% ratio. In other words, if you have a 100-story building, you should have 35 stories of debris left.
You have to also remember that all the debris didn't fall in on the footprint either. It was spread out.
I don't think you're listening to me, sir. If you look at any controlled demolition, it's a hard, fast rule. Ask anyone in the business. I have 35% debris pile.
But the debris fell out. But that's assuming that all the debris lands in a pile. It fell outside the footprint of the building and it was spread out.
Let's assume that you're right about that.
Well, it is.
Okay.
The walls peeled out.
Do you think it's possible that a 1,100, two of them, actually 9 buildings came down that day? Of course, you guys don't talk about that.
Because they didn't.
Oh, really? Okay. I'd be happy to post links about that too, if you'd like.
I would be happy to post plenty of links. I'm not in the forum.
Okay, so anyway,
5 didn't fall.
So you're telling me 1,000
into some of the buildings.
1,100 feet of steel and concrete created a debris pile that we could see of less than 30 feet. You think that's possible?
A debris pile?
Why?
A debris pile.
No, I'm saying that it's possible if debris doesn't fall in on its footprint. If the debris is spread out, it's like if you have a Jenga set and you spread out all the pieces, of course it's not going to be a particular height. And in the videos, you see the walls of the towers peeling out. That's what happens.
I'll ask you one more time. 2 buildings, over 1,100 feet in the air, the highest part of the debris pile is 25 to 30 feet. Do you really believe that?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
When you look at the pictures of Ground Zero,
I see steel.
The walkway. You're just totally disrupting me, which is rude.
That's part of our phone and tell operation.
If you look at the walkway that goes from the buildings, which is still there, the debris pile doesn't even. Of course, there's perspective, so maybe it is a little bit higher. But in my estimation, it looks like it's about 25 feet total above the ground. And by the way, we were told that the basements were relatively unscathed, so it didn't go into the basement.
I never heard that. I have to.
Well, maybe you might want to look into it.
Okay.
So let me repeat before I get cut off here. Let me repeat what I keep saying that no one who's real has disagreed with. Steel and concrete was dustified in midair. All of the conspiracy theories that have been put out there could not have done that.
Who told you that? Judy Woods?
No, I don't believe Judy Woods is real for a second.
Sir, please, you have to understand that if the steel had been dustified, shouldn't there have been evidence of that? The most of the dust they found was, it was concrete and gypsum board and glass. Shouldn't we see something that indicates that the steel was dustified?
Well, I don't know if the videos that we were shown. I don't think there's a real frame of footage that's real on 9/11. So I'm going off what the media showed me. And when you scroll up the videos,
have to be lying for all the videos to be fake.
Let me finish, please.
Okay.
If I slow down the videos, steel and concrete and everything else you're talking about was dustified in midair. I do not think what we saw on the media. I do not think what the media showed us really happened in New York, but I wasn't there to know. All of the conspiracy theories that were told, from jet fuel to nanothermite to controlled demolition to everything like that, could not justify steel and concrete.
But what about the people who were there who did say there was steel and that there were planes? I mean, the people were there and said the exact opposite of what you're saying.
I have been trying now it's been over 9 years, right, Jeff, since 9/11?
Mm-hmm.
9 years to talk to a real person. And
how come I can find so many?
to talk to a real witness.
Hey, how come I can find so many? No problem.
I don't know.
You're a lot of,
and you're in Canada, and I'm 2 hours away from New York.
Well, Joel, I guess I'm a psyoper.
But if you would just let me finish, I've yet to find one witness whose story coincides with every other witness.
But would you expect them all to be the exact same?
Not all exact, but certainly close.
But they all say...
They all saw a plane hit the World Trade Center, and they all saw the World Trade Center come tumbling to the ground.
I've talked to about a dozen people at a resort. I go to a resort here in Lancaster, and they've gone from some people didn't see anything, most people said they didn't see anything, to someone said they saw the biggest plane they ever saw in their life, to someone saw a prop plane, to someone saw a Cessna plane. No.
They all said it was a plane. They all said they...
No, you didn't hear what I said. Most of the people I spoke to said, it was weird, I didn't see a plane.
What's this other jet doing? What's this other jet doing? Holy fuck!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Jesus fucking Christ!
Don't touch it.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh no!
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Sharply and smash directly, perhaps purposely.
Whoa! Holy cow! Another plane just hit! What? Another plane just hit! Oh my God, the other tower!
Just ran into the other tower. I think we had a tower.
Playing it from a different angle as it slammed into the
You didn't hear what I said. Most of the people I spoke to said, it was weird, I didn't see a plane.
Well, some of them weren't in the position to see it. Some of them were on the other side of the building. Even if
I've made my point. I appreciate your time. Have a good night.
Okay.
Dumbass.
Thanks, sir. Thank you for that.
So there we have a perfect example of a 9/11 truth card.
I think the previous 3 hours we did spoke enough to that conversation to where I didn't need to say anything else.
That just proves our points right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, hell, I don't even know. I'm at a loss for words. Sorry.
That was the first snowplaner I ever personally talked to, so this was a rare night for me.
Oh, there's some better ones out there.
I was just